Hey everyone, welcome to the KE Report and a company update from Kenorland Minerals, chatting again with Zach Flood, President and CEO of Kenorland Minerals. Company is traded on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol KLD, on the OTCQX under the symbol KLDCF, and the Frankfurt Exchange 3WQ0. As Zach and I do, we are going to recap a number of the drill programs currently underway throughout mostly Canada here, mostly in Quebec, on the company's partnered off projects. I've chatted a lot with Zach about the partners that Kenorland has. These include Newmont, Centerra, and Sumitomo. Look, there's a lot of work that is going on at these assets. So far this year, we've already had 4 news releases announcing the drilling on 4 different projects. I've also gotten a lot of emails asking about the generative work that this company is doing. As a prospect generator, that is what the team goes out to do, is generate these targets and bring in new partners. So we're going to spend some time there. So Zach, starting off, exploration update. Look, as I said, 4 news releases this year. The Hunter Project, Saskatchewan, South Uchi, and Frotet all are or were being drilled this year. Give us an update. Where are the drills still turning?
Yeah, right now we are still currently drilling at Frotet. We're still the operator there. I think that was around a 20,000 meter program we announced, but getting towards the end of it. And then also currently drilling at the Hunter Project in the southern Abitibi. That's funded by Centerra Gold. Also nearing the end of that program. That was a smaller maiden program of around 3,000 meters. And then we are also drilling at the South Uchi project in the Red Lake District of Ontario. That was an announced planned 15,000 meter program. We're getting close to the end of that one also. And we did wrap up a drill program that South Uchi project's funded by a partner that's earning into it, Auranova Resources, which is a private company or reporting issuer right now, planning to go public probably in the near term. And then we also wrapped up a project in the northern Abitibi Greenstone Belt on our Shabistawan project, and that one was funded by Newmont. That was a follow-up program on a grassroots discovery we made a couple of years ago. So it was a smaller program, a few step outs, and testing some regional targets around that. So that's wrapped up too. So yeah, lots of drilling happening. I think at one point we had 12 drills turning across all these projects. It's been super busy. The team's just been flat out, and there's a steady stream of samples going through the lab now. So yeah, we should be seeing results from a lot of these coming in the next weeks, and hopefully announcing some drill results in the coming months. So it's weeks to months, I would say. So yeah, it's going to be a busy spring here, leading into also another busy summer of a lot of surface work across the rest of our portfolio.
Just a quick comment then on those drill programs that are still ongoing, or the ones that happened this year. Look, the Frotet project, this is hands down the most advanced project. We've talked so much about that. That's the asset where you have a 4% royalty on, that Sumitomo Metal Mining is moving forward. But these other drill programs, I know we don't have results, but how much are they simply early stage exploration, and how much are they following up on past discoveries?
South Uchi is a maiden drill program, first test of a big gold anomaly. Hunter is a maiden program, first pass test there as well. Shabistawan was a follow-up drill program from the maiden drill program. Prior to that, this was I think a year or two ago, we drilled O'Sullivan. That was a first pass program too. So yeah, a lot of the drilling outside of, most of the drilling outside of Frotet is like very, very early stage first pass exploration or first pass tests, drill tests. So yeah, it's exciting, but also, risky, and we'll see what happens.
Okay, so still waiting for these drill results. I will follow up with you when we get them. Let's get into the generative work then. As I said, that's Kenorland Minerals. You're out there staking ground, working up targets on newly acquired land. Can you just give us a bit of a recap on just how much staking you have done in, let's say, about the last year?
Yeah, last year we made a really big push to kind of, I would say, like refill the pipeline. We pegged around 300,000 hectares of ground in northwestern Ontario around the Wabigoon and Quetico areas. For those who aren't familiar, those are belts that host, mines like Rainy River, Goliath, Goldlund. Those are a couple, more significant deposits. Hammond Reef, Agnico's projects out there. So yeah, it's obviously a fertile part of the Superior province, a really great infrastructure. So we're, lucky to go in there and be able to consolidate a huge amount of ground over a lot of underexplored belt. And last year we carried out some sole funded work, kind of the first pass large scale property wide till geochem surveys on all of that ground, and we did announce towards the fall, I think last year, results from that, and we generated a couple large scale gold and till anomalies that we're keen to follow up on here this summer. And then we also pegged a huge area up in James Bay, up in it's called the Auichi project, but it's up in the Opanaka kind of high grade metamorphic rocks of James Bay, which is, surrounded by a lot of the greenstone belts up there, and a very underexplored part of Quebec and part of the Superior province. Historically, not thought to be super prospective for gold, but we had some surprises when we went out and sampled on Targa's property, or the property that we vended to Targa. It's called the Opanaka project. And there was indications of a large gold system up there that hopefully they'll be funding a drill program on sometime in the future. But yeah, so we expanded our footprint in Quebec with that project. That was another 300,000 hectares, and we plan to do a first pass till geochem survey covering all of that ground this summer as well, with the remaining part of the remaining flow through that we have to spend that we raised from Centerra last year when they came in for 9.9% of the company. And then more recently, this year, we didn't announce anything, but obviously it's public with the claim system, but we pegged another 100,000 hectare property in the Teshota-Onaman Greenstone Belt, which is north of the Beardmore-Geraldton Belt, which hosts the Hard Rock Equinox's gold mine there that just went into production. So yeah, that's another vast area of underexplored belt. A lot of that's covered with glacial till as well, and so we plan to carry out the same style of exploration that we do elsewhere on that this summer also. So a lot's happening in the pipeline there. There's also ground that we pegged in Saskatchewan as well that we'll be doing more till sampling on out there, and we have some other projects in Manitoba too. So yeah, we do just keep expanding, staking more ground. Some of these are at the stage now where we're looking to bring in a third party to start funding the more heavy lifting as you get towards drilling. Obviously, we can't be sole funding drill programs all over the place ourselves, and this is our business model, is to really kind of generate these early stage concepts, work it up to a target, and then bring in someone else to do kind of the heavy financial lifting on it. So yeah, it's just keep the machine going.
Zach, what's the market like for potential partners? Look, you have a lot of large companies as partners, and as much as we talk markets on this show, we know how well the large miners have done, even the mid-tiers, but the juniors have continued to struggle, at least a wide margin of them. So when you're out there talking to potential partners, give us the vibe. Are people excited to get back out and do this early stage exploration?
There's always been interest from the major mining companies, over the last 9 years since we've been running the business. It's really through the ups and downs of the markets. The sentiment's never changed, I think, from the grassroots perspective. I think all of these companies recognize the need and have a mandate to go after, some sort of greenfields exploration. So yeah, we've had a lot of success attracting, bigger companies into these areas, especially I think just given the scale of the projects and the track record that we have for moving them from pure greenfields to a real discovery in the case of Frotet, and other technical successes we've had along the way too. The juniors, definitely it's a different story. I think a lot of them are just trying to kind of fund the projects that they currently have, and not looking to expand so much into earlier stage exploration, especially. So that's always been a challenge, and it's hard for new issuers to bite off early stage too. There's so much risk there, so they typically new companies that are forming like to go after more advanced stage projects. So typically we're always talking more to the bigger companies to fund this type of exploration.
What about the type of metals that they're looking for? I know a lot of these are gold focused, but we have seen a trend of majors diversifying out of gold, especially the primary gold majors. But look, gold continues to be at a very strong price. So what are they telling you, or what are you hearing about the metals that they're looking for and what you can offer in Kenorland?
Yeah, I mean, look, we're always focused on gold. We always have been. That's been our primary strength. And the companies we deal with are also primarily looking for gold. Yeah, we just don't play a lot in the copper space. We have in the past worked with Freeport and Antofagasta on our Tanacross project up in Alaska. That's a porphyry copper system. But outside of that, we've really been focusing on gold in Eastern Canada. That's our sweet spot.
So, Zach, what about that flow through money that you raise? You said you still have some of it. You need to spend it. Just remind everybody how much, I guess, you have left and where you're going to allocate that. Any chance of maybe drilling any of your own projects with that money?
Yeah, so I think our current cash position is around 23 million Canadian. There's around a little over four of that is flow through that we have to spend this year. A big chunk of that's going to go to till sampling up in James Bay on the Auichi project. That's that big first pass geochem sampling program that I was just talking about. And then, we have the newly acquired ground in the Teshota Onum Greenstone Belt. So there's going to be a pretty significant spend there too to do a first pass geochem survey property wide. And then some work that's being done in Saskatchewan and Manitoba as well. So yeah, most of our sole funded exploration is all coming from that flow through that we have to spend. Yeah, there is potential that we will put, kind of a scout program, one hole type of situation up in Alaska this year. There's one target that we've had our eye on that we're keen to, test maybe with one hole, which is a different situation than, these multi-stage, multi-year exploration efforts that really require a lot of heavy lifting. So yeah, there is potential that we might sole fund a small drill program up there this summer.
All right, Zach, since you guys are so on the exploration pulse here and you're constantly looking around mostly North America, or well, it seems like North America, especially Canada, any areas out there that, again, you're picking up or that you've noticed more interest in, whether it's from the majors that you work with or other companies?
I mean, Ontario and Quebec is the place to be for gold in Canada. There's no other jurisdictions like it. So yeah, this is where we see the most potential, and that's why we have the most exposure in those two provinces.
All right, fair enough. So Zach, when it comes to this early stage exploration, when you're building up some of these generative targets, any new technologies out there that you guys are using that either you're testing out or that you see huge potential in helping to isolate further targets, maybe make some discoveries?
No, well, we have been applying a bit of kind of machine learning, prospectivity analysis to South Thompson, which is in the Thompson Nickel Belt. All of that property, it's a huge 300,000 hectare property. We've got full coverage EM like VTEM and magnetics over it, and there's a nearby nickel system that has EM and mag over it too. So we've used that data to train on our own project, some of the targeting. So that's the only thing. I mean, it's nothing extraordinary, but yeah, the rest of everything we're doing out in Eastern Canada for gold is quite conventional. It's worked for us in the past, and I don't really see a need to do, anything different there. I think what companies are getting distracted by some of this, AI type stuff, and instead of actually just going out and collecting large amounts of data themselves and using smart geology and geologists to interpret it. And then just when it comes to drilling something, you just want to design a systematic style of drill program, like drilling fences across, areas and targets to get a good understanding for the geology and try not to overthink it.
Hey, fair enough. I appreciate your insights on that, Zach. You guys have been doing this for quite a while, and you've been able to generate some very impressive targets and partners to work with. We'll wrap it up there, but it sounds like there will be a fair bit of news coming from those drill programs from this year, and all the other news that you're going to generate from that earlier stage generative work, trying to bring in some more partners. Again, this is Zach Flood, President and CEO of Kenorland Minerals. Please email me if you have any follow-up questions for Zach, and click that link in the show notes to visit the company's website. Zach, thank you for the update today.
Thanks, Corey.